good evening. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Joe Palumbo. I am the proud principal here at Pleasantville High School. We've shifted. A lot of our PCO meetings used to take place like this. Now more often than not, they're online. We felt that the difference here is our counselors wanted to give you the opportunity to have a hands-on experience with one of the new tools that we use for post-secondary planning, whether that be a 2-year program, a 4-year program, maybe a work plan, whatever it might be. What you'll find with this tool is it's very dynamic, user-friendly, and luckily you can work closely with your school counselor if anything comes up as you work with your student to plan for their life after Pleasantville High School. Before I ask them to begin, I want to give you a quick update around some things that are happening here in the building. It's a very busy time of the year. The holiday season is nearly in swing. We had our faculty meeting about a week ago here in the building. I've asked teachers to already think about their instructional plan and how it changes during the months of November, December, and January. Because I know life gets so busy for everyone, I want our teachers to be very intentional about their lessons, the plan for assessment, the work they're doing to support the students. So I would encourage you to have a conversation with your students at home, kind of around that same thing, about how busy things get during this time of the year. And to make it a little busier, today was actually the first day of winter sports. As I look around, I know that there are some families who are getting ready to travel all over the state to see their kids compete. That's a lot of fun. I want to wish them the best of luck. Report cards, those were posted to the portal last week on Friday the 14th. Mary Ann Flatley, who is our SEL counselor, social and emotional learning, she worked to develop a one-pager on productive ways to speak with students about grades. I think it's critical that we attempt to speak the same language here that is being spoken at home. So the messages of support and encouragement and the importance around growth over time, right? And perhaps some struggle is reinforced with students and they're feeling good about it. So I would encourage you to take a look at that one-pager if you haven't already done so. If you notice that things don't seem aligned in terms of what's happening with grades and the work that your student's doing, reach out to a teacher directly, have a conversation with them. You'll notice that unlike some states and some school districts in the area, we don't have teacher conferences on the calendar, but certainly we're small enough where we just like to invite people in whenever that might be necessary. The teachers are available after school Monday through Friday as part of activity period. That takes place from about 2:45 to about 3:25. One of the things I always encourage families to do is ask their student what their schedule for that time looks like during the week. Certainly getting a tutor outside of the building can be helpful, and I also think it's very helpful to work directly with the teacher here in the building. So I would encourage you to please start a conversation with your students about that. Some fun stuff. Next week, on the 25th, we have a talent show that will take place at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. We have wonderful musicians, singers, performers, all types of fun stuff happening that evening. Please stop by if you can. This week on the 20th, we have our next Capital Project Community Forum. If you're not familiar with the Capital Project, I encourage you to go onto the PleasantvilleSchools.org website. You'll see that you get notified immediately upon accessing the website about the work that's being done. It's a great cross-section. This project touches the performing arts, it touches science, it touches art. We are going to be doing a second capital project probably somewhere down the road that will likely touch the humanities portion of the building. You will notice in this time around in the capital project there is significant work to upgrade building facilities related to STEAM education here in the building. I was walking the building with the architect last week. We were in this space, we were in the auditorium, we were in the band room, and we were in all of our science labs. So very exciting things happening. The architects do not have renderings of the work that will be part of that project yet. They're working on it as we speak. I'm sure that once those renderings are complete, the Board of Education will be sharing that information with the community so that you have a better idea around what's included in the project. Last but certainly not least, we've got our Thanksgiving holiday break that begins next week, the 27th and the 28th. On the 26th, we'll be doing a rapid dismissal. That means school will be ending here at 1:30 that day. I know it's a very heavily traveled day out of the year. In fact, I would suggest that you just double and triple check on ways, like planning ahead for that next day, if you're going to be getting out of town. But students will be leaving the building a little bit early. That day is a bit different. Our student government works to plan some fun activities that take place in the building. Many of the acts who perform in a talent show the night before also perform the day before the Thanksgiving break in the auditorium for their classmates. The kids really enjoy that. Simultaneously, there's some activities going on in the gymnasium if students are into athletics, and there's usually some games and some creative things happening here in the library. So we try to create a nice opportunity for everyone to get involved in activities that they enjoy on that day, in addition to the work that we're doing here at school. The counselors that are here this evening to present school links, we've got Ms. Castellano, she's one of our co-coordinators of school counseling. We've got Mr. Rello, relatively new face to the district. This is his second year, we're very lucky to have him. And they've got some great information to present to you this evening. I encourage you to ask questions. Rebecca will tell you this, and I'm going through it now. I had a daughter who graduated last year, and I had one who's going through it this year. Resist the urge to do all of this work for them. It's very enticing to go down that road. But speak with your students about it. Work with it, as a process. Put some of the checks and balances in place. I don't know if Rebecca's going to like this, but I can have access to the emails from my kids so I can kind of see what's coming in and coming out. Just because I don't want my students to miss anything, and I understand where that comes from. It comes from a good place. And as I'm learning, because my daughter's 1,000 miles away, there's a big part of letting go that can be really hard, right? So work with our team here. They want to support you. We want to make sure that your children have any option that interests them. Like I said earlier, the 2-year school, the 4-year school, the vocational plan, the gap year, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that they're in the best position to be successful and that they're feeling good about themselves. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce again our two counselors, Rebecca and Tom, and they've got wonderful information to share.
Good evening, everybody. So I am Rebecca Castellano. I'm one of the co-counselors, co-coordinators here in the high school, and so thank you for coming in this evening. So Joel mentioned school links. How many of you were with us a couple of years ago when we brought school links in? Do you remember? Okay. So we're still with it. If you've had older students with us, you might remember the days of Navigance. Remember those days? Okay. So last year, I think was the first year we didn't do this, but every year we would do in the fall, we'd come in, we'd give you a presentation on either Navigance and school links and just give you a chance to kind of play with these platforms. So school links, I'm going to throw it up over here. This is what school links kind of looks like. And I just kind of want to put this in context. This is not a one and done experience. School links has been something that your 9th graders have been seeing, or your current students, if you're juniors, have been seeing since the 9th grade. And just so I get a sense of who we're with tonight, how many of you have 9th graders? Okay, 10th graders? Thank you. 11? Oh, fabulous. All right. And a few seniors? Okay. The senior parents are like, I'm done talking about this. All right. So for my junior parents, I'm going to start at junior year and then I'm going to work my way down. Junior parents, your students have seen in this platform since the 9th grade. We introduced it in the 9th grade because we wanted them to use it through high school. And we typically start with the 9th grade in the fall. They do a learning style inventory. They do an onboarding so that they have a program. They moved into the 10th grade where we revisited it last year and they did a career assessment. We went to BOCES and then we brought it back to them in the spring and they talked about some goal setting work and they did an in-class session. You want to tell them about that one?
Yeah, we did an in-class session where we took the information from the career fair as well as the information that School Links provided based off of the assessments and we created vision boards. So it's a nice creative way to do that smart goal setting.
And that goal setting encompassed not just what they wanted in the future, in their lives after high school, maybe even after college, but it was also thinking about what can I do with my summer, what can I do with my senior year. It was giving broad strokes to it so that when they're planning, it's not just planning forever, but it's planning for the moment as well. It's always great to have that big dream, but now we need to think about how do we get there incrementally, and that was the purpose of that experience. So now we're in junior year, right? And I promise you, this is not the only conversation we're going to have. We really do walk you through this as the year unfolds. And it might feel like sometimes you're going to get flooded with info, and sometimes it feels like you get none. Reach out if you have any questions. Your counselors are definitely here for you. We post as much as we can, and we try and keep you engaged through those parent-square communications. Have you all been getting them? Second part, have you been reading? So sometimes it's tempting to delete. It's a lot. So my updates come from our office. Typically when we have stuff to share out, we try and get you on either a Tuesday or a Wednesday to give you a recap. And we've been breaking it down per grade so that you get a sense of what it looks like. And then we sometimes piggyback off of what Joe sends out in his principal updates on Friday. If you're not getting that, let me know. We'll try to sort out
Is this in
what's
Parent
going on.
Square? Is that the one that comes out in Parent Square?
Everything we do now comes out on Parent Square.
Oh.
So yeah. So maybe it would be helpful, just because I'm talking to a big batch of junior parents, to kind of take a look at junior year in totality and then dive into schooling. So would that be helpful? Okay. So I'm going to stop mirroring. And I'm going to ask you to project that one.
It's VHS.
So junior year started, and I popped into all of the English 11 classes to talk about what junior year is going to look like in terms of some of the expectations. And there's that myth out there, and it's somewhat true, that junior year is the hardest year. It's not the hardest, but it's certainly the busiest. The myth is it's the most important year. It's one of 4 years. It is an important year because kids are building their GPAs through this year, and they'll be applying to colleges in senior year using the GPAs that they are going to finalize at the end of this year. So they're creating their junior year experience. In the fall, when I went in to talk to the juniors, it was really about standardized testing, PSAT in particular, but standardized testing in general. And just to give you a broad scope of what we talked about, standardized testing, SAT or ACT, is really starting to make more of a comeback. Prior to COVID, it was a standard. There were certain schools who didn't take SATs and ACTs, and then COVID hit and everybody went optional. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a swing. More schools are looking for them. Not all schools. We still have plenty of schools that don't require them. And we've seen the trend here with our kids. They're starting to look at some of the southern schools. And the southern schools certainly require them. The state schools do, at least. So our best piece of advice to all our students is to be prepared. We don't know where you're going to be applying at the start of senior year. You don't know yet. Your job right now is to explore. And I've seen a lot of your juniors in our offices meeting with the college reps who were coming in here during the travel season, and that's a great way of exploring schools. So when I say be prepared, I encourage students to take one or both of the exams to have a set of scores. So that was our first chat in the fall, and then they were invited often to come and visit with the reps, and they did a really good job of asking questions and getting to know the schools. And so now we're kind of in this place where they're getting their feet are in their classes, they're doing their good work. Come next month, I'm going to send you something that looks like that. It's that save the date card, because that's when the junior programming really picks up. So in January, and this is purposeful because we're getting seniors out, we're settling freshmen in, and the juniors are doing the work that they need to get solid in their classes, right? Come the mid-junior or January, counselors will be going into your juniors' classes. I think we're going to hit this, either social studies or English, I'm not sure which one yet. We're going to go in and we will do a presentation or back into schoolings, and we'll walk them through it. And I'll walk you through it as well. At the same time, and later on, we're going to give you that heads up. I'll invite you to a parent Zoom. I'll encourage you to get online with us to learn about what we did with your kids in class, and then give you a heads up about what's going to be coming up. And then in February is the good, one of my geeky favorite ones. We invite college reps from a variety of schools. Last year we had Oswego, we had Syracuse, Wake Forest, and additional colleges. We had, I think it was, in the South, Georgia. I think it was Georgia. that came to talk with us about what college admissions looks like in general. They weren't there to sell their schools, they were there to talk about the state of admissions, what kids needed to look out for. It's an opportunity for parents to ask questions about what should we ask on a tour, what kinds of questions will the admissions officers answer. And so it's a great opportunity to get those questions answered and to hear from the people that are actually reading your kids' applications. So it's a great evening, and I really encourage you to do it. When we used to do it in person, we wouldn't get as much representation from colleges. When we moved it to Zoom, it was great because I was able to pull reps from different parts of the country. And what we try and do is give you a diversified field in terms of private schools, public schools, large, small, liberal arts, or technical, so that you get a sense of everything that's going on and what their perspective is, because this is their field, right? And then come later, and that's roughly, this was the timeline for last year, but it stays pretty much the same this year as well. That's when your juniors are going to be meeting with their counselors again. Remember, they did it in 9th grade one-on-one. They did it in 10th grade. And they'll do it again in junior year to talk about courses and course selection for senior year. But at the same time, we expand that conversation to encompass college advising. So they'll walk through schoolings one more time, but specific to that student's need, and they'll talk and make a plan with your junior about what that college road could look like. Now, those meetings are typically counselor and student, but parents are welcome. So your student will know prior to the day of their meeting when their meeting is. Ask them about it. We send notices, we post it on boards, we send it to teach. It's not a surprise. The information is out there. It's going to be a surprise to you because they don't tell you. I know, I'm a high schooler. I get it. It's like squeezing water from a stone sometimes, but ask them. And when you see my emails that say junior advisement is on, grab your kid. And if you have a question about it, reach out to your counselor. That's what we're here for. Okay?
That's in February, usually that occurs.
I'm sorry?
That occurs in February?
Yeah, it starts in February, it goes through March, yeah.
Okay.
Okay? And then this little list of everything, this is what junior year does look like. So I talked about the PSAT, I opened up a financial aid night to you guys, I think you got the invites. All of this is also warehoused in the video, so you're welcome to take a look at that. The college fair announcements, and then finally, everything I just talked about and save the dates, all of that will be coming home. So that just gives you a broad overview, right? Deep breath, we're gonna get through this together. It's junior year, I promise. All right, so schoolings. You wanna stop me, Irvin?
Sure.
Back on. Okay, so to get there, students go to the high school website, they go to class links, from class links, they pick the icon is school links, and then they log in. The reason we like them to do it through class links is because this is all tied to their Microsoft account. So once they go through the class links, it jumps into their dashboard. This is Abby. Abby is my fake student who's been with me for 3 years. And she's a senior, and the reason I use Abby is because she's enabled across the board. Freshmen have some capabilities, but not all. Same for 10th graders, and then we move into the junior year. So by the time they hit senior year, they have everything and then some. And we do that because freshmen don't need the college application tab. They're not applying to schools, so why? It's not an appropriate link for them. But Abby is my senior, so I wanted to use her as the demo. Good? So this is Abby. Do you want to walk through what this page looks like?
Yeah, so this is the home page. This is the landing page that they will end up on when they first log in. There's a bunch of different things on here. You'll see the to-dos. There's some overdue, some in the green are completed, and then the ones that are coming up will be in the blue. Or the due date is coming up for those. So under here, you'll see plethora of different things. For our sophomores, maybe completing one of the career assessments, or for our juniors or seniors, completing specific forms in order to help us guide them through their college applications. And then also, I know Ms. Castellano mentioned a handful of college rep visits. This is functionality that every student has, specifically juniors and seniors, for the college rep visits. Under the events tab there, you'll see which schools are coming up, what times they'll be here. So if they have to take out some time from class, they can talk to the teacher ahead of time, let them know that they'll be missing 10, 15 minutes of the class, and then go down to guidance or the auditorium, wherever that visit may be. There's also other things on here, like my team, really the only thing on there will be the school counselor at this point. But then we're going to make our way down the tabs. The stuff over here on the left-hand side, we don't control any of that functionality, right? I believe most of it's done through schooling, so there may be some things regarding scholarships, updates to the platform, or certain things within the area that manually gets put up onto the student side of this tab specifically. So making our way down, we'll see this student tab. Here there's a bunch of different things. Where we really live and like students to work in is within their profile and resume. There are a ton of different things that they can add if they choose to do so. As we know, it's good for students to prepare a resume, whether that be for a pre-college program or for college applications or for summer work. They could put in as much stuff as they want and as little stuff as they want. So if you scroll down, you can see hobbies, interests, job experience, extracurricular activities, awards, skills, languages, all things that could be put onto a resume. I want to get down to this one little area here under academics or extracurricular. If you click add, you can put the specific information that you would want on a resume, and you can do this for every single tab. We encourage sophomores and juniors to play around with this and input that information, so when the time comes, if they ever need a resume, they could just export it in whatever format they want, and School Links will provide it with all the information they put on this tab here. Then you'll also see, within the career assessments that they do, they're able to favorite certain careers, certain pathways, career clusters, maybe potential college majors or colleges, and that will show up in their profile here.
Can you go back into the student piece and take a look at where it says scores and performance?
Yes.
So scores and performance is what houses their SATs and ACTs if they've taken those exams. Most students don't take them until junior year. Some sophomores will take them late in sophomore year, that's fine. But I want to kind of stress something because there's sometimes a little bit of confusion. School Links is a school-based platform. So the information that's housed in here is only used by your student. Colleges don't see this stuff. There's often a fear that if it's out there, the schools will see it. No one's saying this. This is only for the purpose of your student, and I'll show you how those scores are used with Abby in a moment. But just so that you're aware, as the scores come to the school, we manually upload this. So sometimes a parent will call or a student will come in and say, the SAT score isn't there. Well, that's because you got it 2 weeks after you took it, because it's an online feature, but I don't get it for another 2 weeks after that, and then I have to upload it. So nothing is lost when those scores don't make it into the platform. I will get them in there, but there's sometimes a little bit of lag time, and we'll show you why we want those scores in there. Any question? Yeah?
Do PSAT scores go on there? Because I don't see that listed.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
they do.
will.
They do.
They will be uploaded. Abby didn't take them, so she.
Yeah, they're not in the program. All right, so moving down the tabs, we now have the Explore tab, and this is a lot of what the sophomores experiment with. This Find Your Path assessment is something that every student must complete in order to be onboarded into the program, and it gives them an idea of maybe some things that they're interested in, whether that be career or anything else personality related. We'll match you to a celebrity. It's actually a pretty cool assessment, and I say that as a school counselor. So. The next assessment that we did stress in 10th grade and specifically did within programming with 10th graders this year was Would You Rather? And is it okay if I do a quick one? All right. And this is my bread and butter. I love this stuff. It's like a career aptitude test, but pretty, knocked down. So it's not asking you too many specific questions, but it's basically asking, do you like one thing or the other? And it will give you, I'm just going to click through, so no particular order here. It will give you things and personality traits that relate to the options that you've chosen. And that will then connect you with a specific career cluster or maybe a type of job that you or the student would be good at. So specifically for this student, they're artistic and they like to be a creator. They like to follow, their creative vision. So obviously, their top career cluster would be arts, entertainment, and design. So students have played around with this, but you could really dig deep, and I'm not going to go too deep, but just for the sake of this demonstration, there's a ton of information that's updated on here by the U.S. Department of Labor. It's updated every year, and it's ever changing. As we know, job markets change, and salaries change for specific careers, but there's a ton of information that students have access to at their fingertips when they complete these assessments. And they could use all of this information to determine, of course, there are driving factors in specific careers that students may want to be, one of those being money, one of those being how much school that they may have to complete in order to get that specific degree, and all of the information on schoolings will tell you what degree you need to earn, what the median salary is, and maybe if they're tired of New York and want to move out to California, they could search specifically by state and see which jobs are growing within that state.
So this one was a lot of fun to do. So I was in several of the sophomore classes when we did this. And it's great because perspective is everything. Some students finish and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do for the rest of my life. I'm like, no, this is what you answered as a 15-year-old in this moment. And so you can retake this as often as you want. I always come up with a mortician. I have no idea why. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to be when I grow up. But the way I answered the features, it's just how I tied in, right? It's random. Some of it is random, some of it is not. Because it's about serving others, working with others, being empathic, wanting to be a part of the community. I can do that as a counselor, not as a mortician. So it's giving kids a perspective that learning isn't forever sometimes. It's about this moment in time. Where are your strengths? Where are your interests? And then how do we match that up? And how do we develop them? And what kind of opportunities? So they were encouraged, go mentor. Like, go find a shadow one day. If there's a vacation time available and they have a family friend that's willing to take them on for a shadow day and a career of choice, go. They were encouraged to do that. Ask questions of the professionals that you know and work in your community so that they learn about that field. These are the things that we want them to do in the 10th grade. These are the things that we invite them to redo sometimes in the 11th grade, although they're not required to do in the 11th grade.
So that's specifically the two assessments that we use for 10th graders. Now, switching gears a little bit, there are a couple others for 11th graders that we encourage them to complete and work on. And those relate a little bit more towards the college application process and maybe what they want out of a college or things that they may like or dislike about a specific college or university. So this lifestyle one is a really good one to gauge whether the student would like a bigger campus with tons of students and they would be able to succeed in a bigger lecture hall, or the latter, which is a smaller school, maybe 2,000 students, a campus that's walkable, and a student to faculty ratio that's smaller. So these could pump out a ton of different information for students and kind of guiding them through all the processes throughout high school.
Almost 4,000 schools in the United States, and so many of them being so different. This is just a way of filtering some of this information. So students will do this. When I talked about the push-in lesson in either the English or social studies, this is one of the pieces that they'll complete when they're with us.
So we'll be doing that like in February, March time?
That's going to be in January.
Okay.
That's when we do it in January. The date is yet to be determined, but we're getting there because it's almost December.
Is there a way for parents to play around?
I'm going to get to, yeah,
Okay.
so I'm going to get there, definitely. I'm showing you the student side because the reality is that this is a student platform.
Right.
So the students will be able to manipulate all of this. The parent side of it, you'll be able to view the majority of it.
So we don't log on as a student, we have to create our own
You
account?
you can work with your students side by side,
Okay.
and they can log on and you can play with the features that they have available to them. We also have parent accounts, and the parent account is linked to your student so that you can view everything that your student has done. And then there's some things that you can research for yourself as well.
You want to hop down to college, or you want to do?
Sure.
Okay, let's hop down. School search.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, the college search. Schoolings is one tool. It's a good one, and it's one. Friends, neighbors, Google is also good. Princeton Review online is also good. Love lists. There's a whole section of Barnes & Noble regarding college admissions. Go ahead, use those resources. Schoolings is but one. It's a good one. It's one that we decided would be helpful to work with. So in this case, these are the filters that are currently plugged in. New York State, public school and private school, and it comes up with 259 different schools, okay? And then if you look here, you'll see the different sorts of filters that students can use, and parents, you too can do a college search. So what differentiates the student side of it and the parent side of it is that students can do a little bit more with this, and I'll show you what the differences are. But when we go in to meet with your juniors, and they've seen this already. The freshmen saw it, the sophomores saw it, and they were playing with it during the career advisement session. So your students have seen these tools, and some of them have played with it. I watched them. They can look at schools based on their areas of interest. Some students really gravitate towards, I want a really big Div 1 college football experience. And so fine, that's a starting place in the search. Sometimes you start it by geography, sometimes you start it by interest, sometimes you start it by major. There is no wrong way to do it, it's diving in to get started. And so this is what we encourage juniors to do. Just go out and shop. It's a buffet right now. You take a little bit of everything and you put it on the plate, right? So the way the students do it is by hearting the schools. When you heart it, it comes up with all of these ideas about why you hearted the school, and then a student can put in their own note. Their note could be, I went and visited, I really like the dorm. Whatever it is that they need to do. They can then save it. You can't heart excessively, you can heart across the board to as many schools wherever they want to go. What happens to the hearts? Good question. The hearts end up in this favorites list. So their ideas, if they heart it, get placed in here. So now they have a running list of ideas. And this is what we want. We want them to come up with these ideas. We want you to talk to them with you about these ideas, because some of these ideas are really expensive. Some of these ideas are really far. Some of these ideas may be ideas you've never even had your kid broach you with before. So this is an opportunity where you can view where their hearts have gone and have these conversations, right? As students move through the process, they work on populating these three columns. This is a misnomer, by the way. I don't care for this name. It's not really true. It's called the final list. The final list is not the final list for admission. The final list is an organizing list. When your student is hitting that summer of senior year, this is an opportunity to really sit down and talk with your kiddo about how many schools, the competitiveness of these schools, and where do they fall within these brackets. A likely school is what we used to call that safety school. But a safety school or a likely school is not a school that your kid won't get out of the car in the parking lot for. So you have to make sure that you're in agreement that it's a school that they can get into, it's a school that financially you can agree to, and it's a school that they're going to want to go to as much as the other two columns. Yeah? Then the target school is that school that matches your students' credentials, or just about matches. It might be a little harder to get into, it might be a little more competitive, but your student has the credentials, the profile, and there'll be more conversation in the future about what that looks like, till that it's likely, it's a target. Not a guaranteed admission, but it's a possibility. It's a reasonable school to apply to. And so you want likelies, you want targets, and then there are reaches. Reaches can sometimes feel like the impossible or the dream school. And that's not because the student has done anything wrong. It's not because they haven't prepared themselves. It's because sometimes the reach is that school that will only take less than 5% of all admissions. 20, 30, 35 years ago, when we were all going to school, admissions looked very different. BC used to read maybe 20,000 applications. BC is now reading 70,000 applications. Part of this is the fact that everything went online, so applying to schools has become that much easier. It's a click of a button. But it's also become something where a student in the United States is also competing for spots from students from other countries. So now we're looking at a global stage. And the competition for those same schools is high. And so if a school lands in a reach, it doesn't mean don't apply. It means just put it in perspective. Just like you didn't plan out the rest of your life in your 10th grade career lesson, perspective. You've prepared, you've done the good work, you're genuine, you have a solid profile. Go ahead and apply to those reaches. But don't make the reach pile outweigh the others. And we will talk more about that. And that's part of what college admissions panel is all about too.
How did the schools get into there? Is it like they heart them and then the program sorts them?
Some schools land there automatically because the national stats are pulled. And any school that falls, I think, below 10%? 10% admissions rates will automatically go in there.
Okay.
So you just, a Harvard is going to pop in there.
Okay.
And some other schools will also pop in there. Some of the other schools, the student actually has to determine based on who I am and where these schools fall, I'm either a likely a reach or a target. And I'm going to show you some of the information that's housed in here on how to make that determination. Yeah.
So as far as like that's concerned, does their GPA populate into this, and then does that factor into like figuring out, as far as the reach and the target and that kind of stuff?
You got where I wanted you to go. So let's go back here. Let's go back into the favorite.
So who puts the S
Go back
to
into
GPA? You gotta put that in.
So here's, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
The
question.
GPA is manually entered by us, right?
So we upload your student's GPA at the start of the academic year. A GPA is a solid GPA that's created at the end of any academic year. So the 9th grade GPA will be uploaded at the start of the 10th grade, the 10th grade at the start of the 11th grade, and then the seniors will have their junior GPAs uploaded. Make sense?
Do you put
Okay.
the weighted or unweighted? Just curious. Is it the
I
weighted?
load both of them.
You do put, okay.
I load both of them. And so here's what happens, that question about, well, how do they know, right? Do you want to walk through this page?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So this page has, again, a ton of information, and everything is on the left-hand side. You can have acceptance rate, graduation rate. You can look at the different years, in terms of if the student wants to get a master's degree. It's all here. There are videos of campus, videos of dorms. The schools are categorized large, small, medium. All of that stuff is here. And it's actually really fun to look at all of this. We have the student-faculty ratio, the amount of students receiving financial aid, which is really important, and then specific programs. But what we wanted to look at specifically was this here. And this is right under the admissions tab for every school that's on School Links. And what comes up if you click this scattergram is a wonderful graph with a bunch of different colors, shapes, and
So let's walk through this graph. This is just two data sets, GPA and either an SAT or the SAT. This does not tell the full story of these students' applications, yet it still gives good information. So, this goes back about 5 years. I think I know. We house this for 5 years. And the reason we house it for 5 years, and I'm not giving you 15 years worth of data, is because college admissions changes. So I'd rather give you the most relevant information, and the most relevant is every 5 years, more or less. The greens encapsulate the students who applied and been admitted. The reds are the students who applied and been denied. This is Stony. This data is actually real. It comes from us. It's fake Abby, but it's real info.
The students at Pleasantville High School, not nationally or.
Right. Yeah, this is, but it helps a student kind of figure out, well, where do I sit? If Abby were a real student, I don't think she has anything on here. I don't think I gave her a sorry, I didn't give Abby a GPA. But if Abby had a GPA, she would be starred somewhere on this grid. So say she falls around here, she would know that she doesn't have a sure shot chance of getting in based on 2 points of data, but it's not completely unreasonable. Your students will have at least 1 or 2 data points. One will be the GPA because we've uploaded it. The second will be either the PSAT if they took it, or the SAT and ACT when we upload it. For the student who's like, I don't have my SAT or ACT, but you know your score. So if you know your score and you know your GPA, you can plot yourself. And it's still good information to have. In February, when you meet with the college admissions panel, they're going to talk about holistic review. They're going to talk about the review of the application, the activities, the genuineness, the participation. They're going to tell you that this or those factors are part of those reviews that determine admissions. That information is not here. So, again, perspective. Hold on to the idea that this is 2 data sets. It's good info, but it's not the make it or break it. Okay? Now, if your student is landing down here, let's have a different conversation. But if they're hovering, just know it's a chat. Okay? All right. Yeah?
Someone just said that this is Pleasantville data?
Yeah.
Specific to Pleasantville?
Yeah, so when the kids look at these graphs on their own, they'll see P-ville data. So in senior year, I'm chasing seniors through you've watched me, chasing students through the halls to tell me what the admissions decisions are so that they can pay it forward to the next senior class. So it tells us who's getting in based on these factors. Now when your kids are looking, they're not seeing, oh, Jimmy got in, there it is. No names are attached to this, it's just this raw information. Okay? So this is just a way of helping them kind of put some perspective on it and giving them an idea of how to build that finals list of likely target and reach. Does that get to that question that you have?
It does, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. And then if you go within the college page, I believe they also had the factors of admission, what they look at. So we're still at, yeah.
Not there.
The admissions. Oh, stop there.
There it is.
Yeah. So these are the requirements for the admissions, but then what I also like is that school links will give the student ideas of other schools. So if you like Stony, for the qualities that Stony has, whatever those were publicized, then you would like these other schools as well. And it gives you, can you go to the suggestions over here? You may like these schools as well. And so again, it's a buffet, go shop, take a look, heart it if you like it, skip it if you don't, and then that way it can kind of broaden the scope. Okay. So that is the whole, well, pieces of it. I mean, there's a lot of info, but that's the broad strokes. In terms of what you can do, you can be really supportive. You can work with your student when they open their account. And then when you claim your account, you can view the work that they've done. As parents, you can do a search. You can't heart the school though. but you can view the school. Sorry. Go back into the college. You can certainly look at college financing.
That's hard.
Yeah. And so you can take a look at what sorts of, actually, this is not the one. Where's the scholarship matching? Down here. Scholarship matching is where we add the local scholarships and where there are all sorts of, just hit next down here. Okay, we'll keep going. When the student does this, they're going to be asked to identify traits about themselves, and it'll help match to the national scholarships. And they can apply. Students can start looking at, like, that part is available now, and the financing part, the college, the scholarship matching. But when they get into senior year, they're going to want to look here, the district posting. Come the spring, this is where locally our scholarships start getting posted. So right now, two that are up are these two, the Elks and the STEAM, right? And then as second half of the year comes in, I'm going to get flooded with more, and that's when the seniors need to do their work.
And those dates are what, due dates, like February 2?
Yeah.
So they would have to apply for this by that date?
Yeah. And so we click on
senior
that,
year,
and it tells
senior
them
year.
exactly how to apply.
Seniors, yeah, this is a senior account.
This is the seniors.
Okay.
But in the other one, it should tell you if you are eligible to apply freshman year, sophomore year,
Right.
junior year. Some scholarships will allow these applications early on, and then they'll hold them. The national ones are always a little more competitive, but hey, if they have time, set up a separate email account for it and make it happen. Yeah?
Back to like when they park schools, is there a way for us to run like a report that has all the schools that they know? We just have to go in
It
there.
would be a,
Well, they can, because they can go to their favorites list and all the hearts are there.
yeah.
Okay,
They can, so it's a running scope, and you can look at that for them.
okay.
And then if you have an idea of a school that they should consider, there's a place where you as the guardian can actually make that suggestion. And it says, guardian suggested. So that you know. That was really successful. Yeah, that one, you know, like I said, this is limited functionality for families. Yeah.
GPA in that, my daughter's a junior, it's from her sophomore year.
It's 9th grade, 10th grade, and then that little bit of 8th grade.
Doesn't really, like, count for, because it's not gonna give her junior year grades in there.
Right.
So she would
But
fall
you
down
know,
part of it, right? Like, it's the first semester.
No, it's
No.
only, it's only completed coursework. So like a transcript
Let's start.
only has your final grade on it.
It gives you
Final
a
grades
best,
for the courses are the only thing that goes up.
Exactly.
Better than.
Yeah. I mean, the GPAs are pretty hard to come down a whole lot by a point or two. So it takes a lot. They build a lot.
Next question about, in the financial aid section, do you know if they specify which schools offer parent aid?
If they specify the parent aid,
Merit.
the merit, they don't, but the link that goes straight to the college will give you that information.
Yeah.
Some schools are a lot more explicit about what kind and who qualifies for
Yes,
that.
some are much more.
And so, some of them are not explicit. But the reps will tell you. If you ask them specifically, tell me who gets the merit aid, how they qualify, the reps will absolutely tell you. And if you look at, if you hit engage for me, sure. If you look at the events, so right now, this is a little bare, but every week on Friday, Mr. Palumbo would send out his updates, and on the updates, there was a link to the college reps that would visit. The list is extensive in September, October. Come next year, it's just as extensive, and those reps, if they came here, we have their name, and we would reach out, we would give it to you and or your kid, and they could reach out and ask that question specifically. For families who are wondering about the finance, the sticker price, what does this really look like financially, we do the financial aid night in the fall. Dan Robinson from PACE has done it with us for the last couple of years. We post that information, but I invite you to take a look at the websites for the schools because every school has something called the net price calculator. And it does a pretty spot-on job in letting you know how much a family is going to be expected to contribute towards that particular school. By law, they have to have those net price calculators, so that information needs to be made available to you. Especially when you're making big decisions about when you're going to apply, ED versus EA, and the schools that are out there.
And Dan Robinson's really good. Like, I asked him something because he put out his email and he responded like almost
Quick.
immediately. He's really good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good guy, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
My question is not related to schoolings, but it is related to like interest in schools. A parent told me at this expo that we went to at the Westchester County Center that if the kids show interest in a school and give them their email address or something, that if the school contacts them, they keep track of whether or not the child responds back.
Some schools do, some schools don't. Some schools track what they call demonstrated interest, and then some of the schools have gone so far as to track, did they open the email? Did they read the email? Did they dump the email? Some schools could care less because their numbers are just fine, but there are other schools that are definitely tracking it.
So it's important for them to respond.
It's important, yes. And I'm old school. So when you go on a college visit, I encourage students to grab the name of the rep, or at least the person that gave you the tour, and send a thank you note. Thanks for the tour, great opportunity, so-and-so was a great tour guide, whatever it is, so long as it's genuine. Put it out there and just give a thank you because it just goes right back into the file. Is it going to get your student in? No. But it's that nice personal touch so that, you know, when they're reading the file in 10 minutes, maybe that'll come up as part of the conversation. Because that's the reality of admissions. I watch your kids pour their hearts into these applications, and we work to make sure that they're the strongest applications possible. And at the end of the day, these reps are spending about 10 minutes. 8 to 10 minutes is the amount of time that they are allotted to whip through these applications. So the most succinct, the most important, the most thoughtful information is what needs to go on there. So if there's a little check mark, why not? Let it be there. Okay? All right. So that was a lot. And if you all would like to play with your Schoolings account, you can do it on your computer. I can give you a loaner from the high school. I can also show you or give you a handout as to how you can do this at home. It is really straightforward, in fact. There's the handout, but I'm going to show you. As parents, you would go into the portals. And in the portals, you could go into, where is it? Schoolings, thank you. Don't go into the parents' library. Oh shoot, it's going to open up my side. If you go, let me see if I can get out.
If you put a private window.
Let me see if I can do it this way.
Rebecca, I never used that app. How is the functionality on an app on the phone? Have you
I
experienced
really
that?
haven't. I dislike the app, I gotta tell you, because on a tiny screen, you miss out on some of the information, so I don't think it's the best use of it. It's great to do quick tracking, but when you're doing research, it's not my favorite. It's not. I had a brief conversation with the family before we got started, and come end of junior year, you're gonna hear a Common App. You've heard this, the Common Application. And I just kind of want to put Common Application in perspective to what Schoolings is. So Schoolings is the platform that we use for all college and career. That's where we house our information. And when your students apply to the colleges, we use Schoolings to move the information from the high school, their transcripts, their letters of rec, from our building into the hands of the colleges and universities. Students are not applying to colleges using school links. They're just housing the data in school links. So your kiddos are applying with Common App, SUNY applications, or school-specific applications. And again, we will walk you through this, both junior year and senior year, because it does get a little bit confusing because there's so many different platforms that are out there. But just know, School Links is only here. The only people that will ever see it are you and me and us. Okay? Everything else is private.
Is there any way, that was my question I had, there's probably no ways, if they're putting their extracurriculars and sort of doing that resume building thing,
You
have
can
to
do
do that in the Common App.
You
So-
have to do it in the Common App.
But you can't, is there any easy way to copy all of that and put it into the Common App?
Nothing easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, back in the day, we used to do resumes, and resumes were just quickly uploaded or mailed or attached, remember staplers? Attached to the application, we would Xerox them. That doesn't happen anymore. You really can't bypass the activity section in the Common App. It's a necessary part. But a resume is a nice complement if there's more info that you want to send out. Yeah.
So there's no real benefit for them doing it all in school because they have to do it all over again and.
The only reason I'm going to tell you, the only reason I really like having them house it somewhere, whether it's in School Links or it's on a Google Doc or on the 365 drive, is when they're sitting in senior year filling out the application, they're not hemming and hawing over, what did I do in the 9th grade? What was important to me? It's already in one spot. Even if it's only ideas versus something completely written out, it's better to start with something than to start with nothing. Because a student that starts with nothing, they will take longer. And you will be tearing your hair out trying to get them to start something. So if they can start now in just creating a list, that kind of lessens, serves two purposes. Lessens their worry when it comes time to fill out the application. And it's also a really nice reflective tool. And that's part of the conversation counselors had with the sophomores in the spring, which is, if your list is a little bare, consider beefing it up. Where and what could you do that doesn't just look good, but that you genuinely enjoy? And how do you expand on that hobby or that interest in a genuine way? Because that's the important part. It's not just a checklist of what looks good, it's what does it mean to the student and how is that then reflected in the rest of the application. So for you guys, whether you choose to do it here or you choose to do it at home, very straightforward, you sign up as a guardian down there. So you go into the school, the platform, sign up as a guardian, you enter a claim code. I have your claim code, so if you want your claim code, I can give it to you. And then you select your relationship to that student, you add it, you set up your account. You have more than one kiddo, you get 2 claim codes. You get 3, you get 3 claim codes. So I have all the claim codes, 9 through 12. Mr. Sammartano, Mike Sammartano, who does all of our technology, he has it set up there. We can ask him to push out an email to everybody with a specific link attached to your child. So you'll see that that's going to go out in a week or so. I'm going to ask him to do that. That way, everybody gets to hear this because thanks, Tim, for recording. And then we're going to post that information. Mr. Sammartano is going to throw that out there so that if anybody who's not here can also do it that way. So there are 2 ways of signing up for that. Okay? All right. So, Tim, we're good now. Any questions, please?